What made her this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of SongByrd ASMR. Now, do you have any prior knowledge to who this person is?
The only thing I know of this person is from you, and it's not much that that we've talked about her.
I am I'm like obsessed with this person in a way that I've never been so invested in someone before. It's actually kind of sad, but we're going to be talking about like how people have, you know, been so involved in her story, because there's a whole Reddit page. There's actually two that I follow, and they've been up since last year. And okay, let's just get into it. Okay, so SongByrd ASMR, this girl, she's 28. Her actual name is Crystal, and she has a husband named Chuck. And she would just film videos of her eating, ASMR style, also mukbang style, where she would talk in these videos. And everything was fine. I stumbled across her videos like 2019, and I didn't think anything of it. I mean, like, what, there's not really much that could go on when you're just eating in your videos. But that was soon to change. Okay. So last year, when the protests were going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, uh, people had asked her, like, hey, can you maybe, spread some what is it called? Spread petitions. Like, can you, help us get the word out? You have a big platform. Can you, just do this simple thing for us? And, if she didn't want to do it, it would have been fine, like, just continue to ignore those comments. But she decided to comment back, and she said that she didn't want to get involved in drama. And people didn't like her word choice because, I mean, this is a serious issue. It's more than just drama, people's lives are involved. So people got upset with that. And then a couple weeks go by, and she had a Discord server with her subscribers. And please keep in mind, during all of this, most of her subscribers are children.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like that's very important. So she had a Discord server with her subscribers, and she was talking about her brother who had transitioned from female to male. And during all this, she would continue to misgender her brother and call him sister and use she and her. And there are screenshots of the things she would say in the server. I don't think she would say anything necessarily bad. She would just like ignore the fact that her brother had transitioned. So because those two things happened, she had to make an apology video. And she said, I never said, or I don't know, she said, I'm sorry for being racist and homophobic, or saying homophobic things. Even though this isn't homophobia, it would be considered transphobia. And I'm not sure if she ever said anything that is considered homophobic, but people always do say, oh, she's homophobic. But let me just mention this, that homophobia is very different than transphobia, and I hate that people like lump it together when it's two separate things. Anyway, so because she apologized, people didn't even know that she like had said this stuff, because this had happened on Discord, and the comments about the protests were on Instagram. So most of her subscribers were just like, what is going on? But because that had happened, it gave people like a quote unquote valid reason to poke fun at her, because they would just use the excuse, oh, she's racist, she's homophobic, she's transphobic, so we can make fun of her and it's fine. So they started going through old videos and made compilations of her eating funny and because she ate kind of like a child, she still eats like a child, in my opinion. She has no manners. I mean, anyway. There's also old videos of her singing, and she made old vlogs in like a graveyard.
Hmm.
And yeah, she would spend her time in a graveyard. Also, most of the stuff has been deleted because she got exposed, of course, but it's really hard to find any proof of this. You're just gonna have to take my word and also the people's word on Reddit because like I said, I started following her over 2 years ago, so I like was keeping up with this in real time. Um, and people found a skit that she was in with some classmates in community college, and the skit was that one of the people, they were supposed to be a foreigner, and Crystal's character pointed to them and said, "You alien." And people were like, "This is racist and xenophobic." So that happened. So then Crystal and her husband Chuck, they started live streaming once a week, and this gave people the opportunity to troll them live. And this is where Crystal really reminds me of Chris Chan, because Chris Chan fed into the trolls, whether he knew it or not, he still did it. And Crystal, whether she knows it or not, she was feeding into the trolls and giving them material. So Crystal and Chuck, they started talking about their sex life on these live streams, and like I said, most of their subscribers are children, so this is pretty weird. They got
Do they
yes.
do they know? Do they know that most of their fan base is children, or do they just assume that they're adults?
I feel like they know because they also do talk to a lot of their subscribers. And to me, it's so obvious that these are kids just based on the way they type, their word choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
Yeah.
they've had private conversations with their subscribers. So I'm just assuming that they do know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they got tricked into saying racial slurs on these live streams. Um, and that was going on, and people started digging into her older videos, and they found out that she has parents who are cousins, and Chuck and Crystal, according to Crystal, are also related.
Your parents did incest. No, they did not. I don't know why people keep bringing it up. Besides the weird thing of my parents being related, why does everybody keep thinking I'm from incest?
Are we related? I mean, I suppose theoretically, in the way that like
I will
everyone
admit,
descends from everyone, but
if you want to know the true relation, we are 11th or 12th cousins.
we are.
I'm just gonna bring up all the incest stuff because there's another thing. So Crystal's aunt eventually got involved in all this, and she had claimed that Crystal had a 6-month-long incest relationship with her cousin. And at the time, Crystal was 15 and he was 18, 19, 20, I don't know, but he was an adult. And once she was caught, she claimed that her cousin had raped her. And the police got involved, and her cousin showed all the love letters and emails she had written him. And I don't know what happened from there, but it was that, according to the aunt, that's the thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time that the aunt was feeding all the people on Reddit this information, the mom also got on Reddit, and she was trying to like dispute the rumors about her and her ex-husband. Gary is Crystal's dad's name. So she was trying to say, me and Gary aren't related. Crystal just lied because Gary told her to do so. So apparently Gary, Crystal's dad, is this like mastermind who told Crystal to do all this stuff on her YouTube channel to get attention. So apparently he told her to lie about her parents being having incest relationship.
That doesn't make sense.
I know, it doesn't make sense at all, and I want to get into that because I feel like the mom only came on here just to like clear her name, and she doesn't really care about everything else that's going on. But I'll go back to that in a second because there's so much stuff to get into. Also so apparently this is just all rumors, but these are also rumors coming from her family, and it is confirmed to be her family. We just don't know if the things they're saying are even true. So when Crystal got pregnant with her son, he's now 7 or 8, she lived with Gary, and Chuck was in a whole other state. I don't know why this was going on, but that happened. And she does have a weird relationship with her dad. Like, from what I've seen, I do think it's weird. I had went through her Instagram, and she was making several posts about being a daddy's girl. And, like, she is well into her 20s. And, like, I feel like that's, like, a thing you stop once you reach a certain age. So there's also a weird... Yes?
Is her family rich?
No. They're from...
Okay,
They're from the South. Crystal's mom walked out on them when she was really young. So her dad was a single dad, and she was also homeschooled for all of her life until she had to get her GED. She had to get her GED, and she went to college for a bit, but she never graduated, I don't think. So I feel like that's some explanation for her behavior because, I mean, all she really had was her dad, and if he's so controlling as they try to paint him out to be, then that explains why she is the way she is.
Okay, can I make a judgment, or is it too
Yes.
early for me to...
You can make some.
I feel like she's somewhat of a victim here.
Yes.
Like something her past... Like hanging out in graveyards, her having a relationship with her cousin, possible sexual one, and then the whole thing about her father. Like all of these things lead up to a terrible life if you think about it. Homeschooled. I mean, like, nothing's wrong with homeschooled, but just how you go about it. And then her mother leaving. That's not good for a child to go through. You know, it's not helpful. All these things seem to be affecting her in her development years. And that could leave her a bit screwy later on her adulthood. So far, she seems like just as much as a victim as anyone. But let's see how it goes.
Actually, there is people who, they don't feel bad about the relationship with the cousin, and they somehow shift the blame onto her just because they hate her so much. But I do have sympathy for this situation because she was the minor, and he was well older than her. I don't care if he was a teenager too. Like, there's a difference between 15 and 19, and he also took advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
So yes, in my opinion, she is a victim up until we get into some other stuff. So back to her child. I don't know if I should say his name or not, because he is...
No, definitely not saying.
Okay, what should I call him for this? Let's call him Timmy.
Her son or something.
Let's call him Timmy for this situation, okay? So, Timmy seems to be neglected by Crystal and Chuck. And Crystal has said this herself, that she doesn't see him on the weekends because she leaves him with his grandparents, Chuck's parents. And there's this one video where Crystal is eating with her son Timmy, and she starts talking about her marriage problems with Chuck. And she's like...
In front of Timmy?
Yes, in front of Timmy. He's like 4 or something, but
Okay.
which is like, but I mean, 4-year-olds, I think, can
Yeah.
understand. So she starts talking about, like, oh, Chuck left with his parents.
He hasn't been home very much the last week or two. I want him to stay here for the weekend. Last couple of days have also been kind of stressful because, I don't think I'll delve too personally into it, but I've been dealing with some marital issues, and my husband and I haven't been around each other for the last couple of days. He's been staying with his parents at their house, so he's kind of been a bit of a break, but hopefully we got things sort of agreed to and worked on now for in my favor. We'll be able to put this behind us and move on. I'm not sure if he's coming back home today, though. If he does, he does. If he don't, he don't. That's fine with me. I got my little guy here to keep me company.
And it's the weekend, so usually Timmy would be with the grandparents that weekend, but he stayed since Chuck, had went with his parents. And, Crystal is a stay-at-home mom, and she also prides herself on the fact that she has never had a real job. And she's turning 29 very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. Like, if you can raise your kids, I think that's amazing. But if he's at school during the week, he's not at home very much. And then you send him off with his grandparents every weekend. Like, what? So how are you being a mom? And the one weekend that you do get him, just because your husband so happens to leave because you guys are having issues, you're choosing to spend your time, record, and talk about your issues instead of spending your time with your son that you don't see that often. And in one ASMR video, you can hear him crying in the background, and she just continues to eat. And it's very, like, okay, yes, kids can have tantrums, they can cry, but why would you just, like, continue filming instead of checking up on him?
Yeah, you could totally, like, pause and
Yeah, just
edit it,
your food can wait.
Or, like, yeah.
And her aunt name is Tammy. I shouldn't have used the Timmy name then. Tammy. Okay.
That's okay.
So her aunt her aunt Tammy supported all this going on, and she has made accusations of Crystal and Chuck being lazy and neglectful. And I don't think it's really rumors at this point. Like, Crystal has kind of confirmed them herself by saying that she just leaves them with the grandparents.
What is this shit I heard about you guys the other day, a few months back, saying was a mistake? You guys need to get this fucking eating channel taking it down. The whole fucking family is tired of this. My sister, the only one even your parents are sick of it. And I don't know why you guys gotta keep this up. You got a fucking master's degree in college and you're doing nothing but jack shit, sitting at home and shoving your face in front of a camera. I know that's not paying y'all's fucking bills, but you need to man the fuck up and be a husband. She needs to be having that baby when he's not in school. She did not have that baby for every fucking buddy else to raise, and if she's scared to be alone with him, maybe she should have thought about that and actually give him to somebody who will take care of him constantly. That boy has no stability. I mean, he can't even sleep or play in his fucking room because you guys' ASMR equipment has taken over that house.
And people do think that Tammy and Crystal's mom are lying about this, but I don't know what they would get about coming forth about this, because it's sad and it's embarrassing. I don't want to say embarrassing, but to say, hey, my family is like this, it's sad to admit.
I don't think her aunt and mom are, like, coming out and just, like, spitting this stuff out. I think people are prodding them, and they, like, feel obligated to answer questions that people ask. I feel like people are, like, buzzing around their heads.
Yeah, that is what happened. Like, they felt the need to say something. If they are lying about anything, I think it is the the parents being related, because I truly believe that they are, and the mom is just embarrassed. But if she wants to deny that, that is her right. I just don't know why. I don't know why Gary would tell Crystal to lie about that. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So,
Yeah.
Crystal called Timmy a mistake.
Like on camera?
Yes.
Or online?
On camera.
Okay.
Yes, accidental pregnancies happen, but to call your child a straight up mistake on camera.
I mean, so far, let's analyze everything that you said so far. I think she's using the internet as a vent, her own personal therapist, which is an awful idea.
Oh yes.
So she's like going on live streams, and that's maybe like her only conversation. Like, she's probably, since she didn't grow up and socialize too much with other people, we don't know really how she grew up, but we're assuming this. And maybe her only connection that she can make and feels obligated or urged to is via the internet. Maybe she had online friends when she was younger, and she's like thinking like, oh, all these people who subscribe, follow me, whatever, are my friends, and so I can trust them and tell them whatever, maybe that's how she thinks. And so she's like spilling the beans on her personal life, and that's a big mistake that she's doing.
Yes, because there were also old tweets that people found about her venting about Chuck and saying how she wished she never married him, and she was doing this on Twitter and Facebook, but this was before she even made her YouTube channel, but people still found that, so I think that was her only way of letting her feelings out. Which is sad, because like none of this would have had happened if she just like didn't go into detail about her personal life. Like, you could have just sat there in silence, ate your food, and things would have been fine.
Yeah.
She and Chuck is also 32, 33, and she had met him when she was 19, so at that age he was like, I don't know how to do math, he was in his 20s, let's just
22.
say that. And Chuck was like her first real relationship. If you take out the cousin situation.
Yes. Yeah.
And they were technically together, so they say, but they got pregnant pretty quickly. And she has also said if it wasn't for Timmy, then she probably wouldn't have gotten engaged to Chuck, and they would have never gotten married. So I think they're still forcing their marriage for Timmy's sake, which makes me sad. Like,
yes, it is.
So because of all, like, their marriage was basically forced. They seem very awkward with each other, and people make jokes about this all the time. Like, they point out the weird humor that they have. Like, it's really, like, I don't know, just think about, I don't know how to make an analogy, just like people learning how to interact with another human being for the first time.
Oh, okay.
It's just
like an alien.
I don't want to say alien.
As for like having conversations with each other, it's like if they meet each other for the first time every day or something, like they're co-workers or something.
Yes. It's like, ugh, every time I see them, I have this like intrusive thought where it's like, how did they even like get together to make a baby? And I hate that I think that, but
some people just go and mess around. Like they don't make a relationship, they just have a sexual one. So yeah, I can see it.
So yeah, their whole relationship is just like them looking down on each other, because this one time Crystal had said like, oh, he looks nerdy and geeky and he's not a good looking guy, but I still fell for him, or something along those lines, like just making fun of the way he looks. And So, okay, this is a whole other thing, but Crystal has or had an eating disorder. People still believe that this is something that's happening right now, but Crystal likes to push the idea that she has moved past it. But I think
How's her physique?
she is small, and
Mm-hmm.
her teeth over the years they're like a completely new shape, and I think that's due to her like purging and forcing herself to throw up. So
That
I
is true. Like she could totally eat like for her videos and just like regurgitate it after.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people who believe that this is something that she's still doing, but um so during her pregnancy, she was starving herself, and
Oh,
Timmy,
okay.
yeah, Timmy wasn't getting, he wasn't,
The nutrients
yeah,
and
the
all that.
nutrients he needed, and this is also a big thing that affects their marriage, and I think that's also why she has resentment towards Chuck, because I mean, he wanted her to get better, but she didn't want to do that. Um, there's also
She's
this.
obviously non-committal to this relationship, and maybe like it's a delicate situation when it comes to abortion and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe she was like hoping like just like if I don't eat, maybe the child will miscarriage or whatever. I mean, that's just a theory that just popped in my head. I'm not
I
saying like that's what she was hoping
no,
for, but
it's because I never thought of that at all, but that is a possibility because I have never seen her act like a mother. And of course, we only see so much on video, but the videos that I have seen, like, it gets weird. Okay. So,
mhm.
she would also talk about how her and Chuck and the family were always on the verge of getting, like, evicted because Chuck wasn't making enough money. And like I said, she has never had a real job. So there she is, stuffing her face with food, talking down on her husband's job and saying that, he doesn't make enough. And he's had this dream of working from home, and he needs to get rid of that dream or else they're going to lose their house. But if you're so concerned about losing your house, why don't you get up and get a job?
Does she get paid for what she does, or she's just making this
Um,
content?
I'm sure she does get paid, but her views have gone down a lot since then because people don't want to support her in any
Mm-hmm.
way. So if
Mm-hmm.
she is making any money, it's barely enough because at this point they started sharing the meals that they make videos of. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
them having their own meal each, they'll split like a sandwich, and it's like I'm pretty sure they're struggling now.
Oh, okay. So they make these videos together, or
Either or, she'll make them by herself. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's alone. It's just here and there.
okay.
On the food topic, they were always eating the same food, fast food, frozen food. People had requested for her to do something else, and she said she had made this lasagna, and it was so obviously from Olive Garden. And she ended up admitting, like, okay, I lied because I wanted you guys to get off my back about the same food. And this started like a spiral of lies.
Mm-hmm.
She said she couldn't eat fruits or vegetables because she had
Yeah,
this, I think, like a disease,
a
um,
disease.
which,
Take some medicine.
what, a disease isn't curable, right?
Yeah, you can cure diseases.
It,
A
that,
disorder, no, you can't cure it. You can treat it.
let's just call it a condition because this condition
Okay.
that she claimed to have, it cannot be cured. And according to her, she did get cured of it, but that is not possible. So she lied about having this condition just to like make an excuse as to why she can't eat fruits or vegetables. But like,
That sounds like Christian there.
but it's like, okay, if you can't eat fruits and vegetables, then eating fast food, all that oily, greasy food, must be way worse for your stomach.
There's a bit of psychology into that. So she's obviously has been in poverty all her life, and either that it's affordable. That's one path of psychology there, and there's the other path is that this is all she's known. Her family's eating this, so she eats it too, and it's just what she's used to, and so she doesn't want to get out her comfort zone and try new things. And then there's the other path of that it's an addiction, that people do get addicted to fast foods, fatty, like greasy, and all that good stuff, which is not good. But and then like all three of these options can be wrapped into why she's the way she is, the way her appetite is, or it could just be one or two of these options I've submitted here.
Well, she had developed this quote-unquote condition due to her eating disorders. So she developed something, but I think she mistook it for this condition that is not curable. And she...
No.
Yes?
I think she's just used to it. That sounds just like she's used to it, and she can't. She won't eat anything else, which I guess could be considered as eating disorder. Like you physically can't try something. Like if you smell something, you just gag at it. Like some pot roast. If you smell it, you gag at it.
There's this like picky eaters show, and every time they try to eat something new,
yes.
It's like a traumatic situation for them.
Maybe she's that.
So, yeah. While she was getting treatment for her eating disorder, so she did end up going to this facility to get help. And this was when Timmy was a newborn. So thankfully, he did end up, being born as healthy as he can be, despite his mother not even like eating properly. She had an eating tube, and she would tamper with that, and I don't know how, but something like suck. She was like sucking the fluid out or something. I don't know what, but like poop was involved. Like I don't know how feeding tubes work, but
there is type of tubes that people can get. That have you seen like those sacks, or like it's usually elderly have this, like where their urine would go into this sack that's like on their leg. You ever seen that? They might be talking about that because there is one for feces.
Oh yeah.
But that's not like a feeding tube. That's like something else. Like a catheter going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Either, yeah, that's completely different. So I don't know how people got poop from all this, but she was messing with her feeding tube. So even while she was getting treatment, she was preventing herself from getting better. And she still seems... She claims to have gotten better, right? And this happened a few years ago while she was getting treatment. And even now, though, she seems hostile when it comes to her food. And she like, okay, let's say they're both eating chicken nuggets and there's 10 between the both of them. So there's 20. She has to make sure that she's eating 10 and her husband is eating 10. So she's very... Yes. It's like simple eating disorder stuff. Like people who have eating disorders keep track like that. And when he asks like, "Hey, can I have some of yours?" She has to like trade, make a trade. I mean,
that's
it's
like
not
what
like
children do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it has to be even in her mind, and she even does this with her kid. And when she got called out for it, she made a follow-up video, and she made a point to like share with her son without trading with him.
Oh.
And she was like, "Hey guys, look, we share with each other." Like, she acts like such a kid. It's really
what
sad.
disorder does she have specifically? Like, has that been revealed?
She claims she has nothing, so we don't really know. This is all speculation.
Okay.
She also has a speech impediment that she says, "I don't have a speech impediment, I just have trouble enunciating my words," which is literally what a speech impediment is.
I mean, I know I struggle sometimes. Like, when I was young, I did have trouble saying my R's, you know. I still do sometimes. So, something to be embarrassed about.
Yeah, and she also had hearing loss when she was younger, and I think that's what contributes to her not being able to say words correctly. But she refuses to get a hearing aid. I don't know why.
I mean, they are
like,
expensive.
it's a pride thing, I guess.
It could be a wait time.
Um,
Okay, her mindset is definitely one of a child. Let's pause here again. Like, and talk about like how she acts like with her kid and like around other people. So now, instead of a victim, she's like a rude child. So that's probably why she like talks to people on the internet and gets like frustrated. It's because that's what children do. You know, they lash out like, no, I didn't, kind of stuff going on. You know, playground stuff. And then the way she acts.
Wait, I have the perfect clip to insert right here of just a perfect example.
I'm beating you. I'm beating you.
It's not a race.
I know.
Exactly. That clip did it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just right.
Continue.
No, that's all I have to say. Like, she's acting more of a child. Like, something definitely, she didn't learn how to grow up like properly. Like, something in her development years did go sideways or wasn't nurtured, and that's why she's the way she is now.
So Chuck ended up fulfilling his dream and getting a job at home, and people brought this to his attention like, "Hey, we think your wife is still struggling with her eating disorder." And he uses the excuse that, "I work at home now, so I would know if she's doing something." But like, if you guys have ever lived with other people, do you know what they're doing
24/7
all the time?
No.
No. So I don't know why he uses that as an excuse. Also, Chuck had created his own YouTube channel, and he started doing lives on his own. I think I've sent you a couple of his videos before because he's a writer, and I think we should look at his writing sometime. But he has a published book, and a published book through Amazon. So in one of his writing lives, Crystal always begs for attention. Like, she knows nothing about writing. This is like this is his one thing. Just go
His
off,
hobby.
do something else. But but she always comes into his lives, and there's this one clip where she sits on the couch, but half of her body is cut off. So she scoots over to make sure she's in frame, and she's like fixing her hair and just making sure everyone can see her. And in another life, he basically tells her to leave. And the way he does it is like talking to a little kid, and the way she reacts is like a little kid, and it's so weird. Another thing on the intention, she used to comment everywhere trying to promote her channel.
Yes.
And
that's something like 12-year-olds do. Oh my goodness. Come check out my gaming channel.
She she had admitted that she was faking being nice to all these, all these people on their videos to like just get attention so people would subscribe to her. So now this is a whole other situation. There's this other YouTuber. Her name is Mandy. She also does eating videos. And she was getting a lot of hate comments. And also Mandy's channel is very small. She probably had like yeah, so Mandy would get like 50 comments at most on her videos. It was not that big.
Yeah.
But the hate comments that she would get were very specific. And only a few people, including Crystal, knew about the situation. So Mandy had accused Crystal of like, hey, these hate comments are yours. And Crystal, of course, denied it. Mandy did say that she would come out with a video explaining everything and the proof that she had, but this happened months ago and Mandy still has not followed up with that, so I don't know what's going on, but...
Okay, can we pause? Okay.
Yes.
So, SongByrd does have like avid followers who do believe her and would attack another person on her behalf. B, SongByrd either has the capabilities of fighting bots and like paying for bots to go and comment on this girl Mandy's channel. C, Mandy got the bots. Oh, I'm joking about that last one. But A is kind of terrifying. B is like likely what I'm believing and hopeful that is true.
Well, like I said, a lot of her subscribers are children, and children follow the leader.
Yes.
So I do believe that her followers would just hate on anyone. But Crystal also does have a habit. She still does this. She monitors every comment that she gets, and she deletes the ones she doesn't like, and she had said that she would stop censorship on her channel, and that lasted for not that long. And that's when her yes.
It sounds like she doesn't have too much know-how of technology, because there is a feature that you can use, especially with YouTube comments, like certain keywords will not show up, like, oh, your video sucks, that won't show up, like for the viewers or whatever in the comment section.
Well, I think she's learned now. This was when her views were at the highest, because most people were just hate watching and checking the comments, and once she started disabling comments again, her views plummeted into the ground. She really doesn't get any attention now. But on one of her channels, because she has multiple, on one of them she does allow comments, but I think she has them for like under review. So only the ones that she likes she'll publish. And I had commented on her video asking, when are you guys gonna go back to doing lives? Because the lives were when they would get trolled, and eventually I think they learned that, so that they stopped doing that. And I had asked her, when are you gonna go live again? And she deleted my comment. So she's very sensitive. And when the whole Mandy situation was going on, Chuck came in Crystal's defense and said, my wife isn't clever enough to leave a bunch of hate comments. So their relationship, like, they really do not seem happy together at all. That's pretty much most of my notes. Conclusion, I mean, Chris Chan is still worse, right?
Oh, definitely.
I think now talking about this out loud, because this has just been a thing that I've kept up with for a couple years now, which is really sad. I kind of see her I really do see her more as a victim. I don't excuse her neglecting her child. That is horrible, but she seems very naive, feeding into the trolls. She was sheltered most of her life. She still doesn't have an actual job. She just stays at home all day, monitoring comments. Like, and when she does interact with her son, she's made comments like, "Oh, people see us as more brother and sister," and she's so vain that she thinks it's because people think she looks young, but I think it's because
her attitude.
her attitude, her actions, yes, but she thinks it's about her looks. And like, I have young siblings of my own, and I don't act with them the way she does with her own son, so it's very weird.
Yeah, I make it a point not to judge people on how they parent because, I mean, it's your child. I mean,
everyone has their own way, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I do believe there is always a right way and a wrong way, and one of those ways of parenting is not to be friends with your child. You gotta be their parent, not a friend, and that's just it leads to spoiled children in one case, and but let's talk about her childhood a little bit. Like, we don't know much about her childhood, right?
No, we just know that her mom walked out on them when she was about 3, and she did go to public school for a little bit in elementary, but then also in elementary is when she started doing homeschool up until she got her GED.
So I wonder if her father was the same way with her, and now she's just that way with her son, like generational kind of thing. That could be one thing. Or her actions and the way she is very much, she's not mature. No matter how old you are, like Christian, for example, he's like in his 40s, right? And he's definitely not mature. And she's showing signs like she's just not mature. I mean, like, I feel like you're more mature than her. Like, just to say that. I don't know, man. I think she's just
also
in a bad situation, like, throughout her whole life. And it just...
Sorry, her dad lives out of state, and she had mentioned that she wants to put Timmy into homeschool so she can go visit her dad more. And every time she goes to visit her dad, she never takes Chuck with her. And I just wonder why they don't have a good relationship.
About this father-daughter incest thing? Are you insinuating?
People do think that Gary must have done something to Crystal. I don't know if I believe that, but I do think he was really controlling of her, because according to the aunt as well, he checks like the mileage on her car. He pays for everything. He asks her when and where she's going. And apparently this started when he found out about the relationship with the cousin, and he apparently installed cameras in the house, and that's when he became like obsessed with keeping track of her.
Okay, here's a theory. One, that
Yes.
she's spoiled. She's daddy's little girl, and that's why not in that way, and like
I know,
that she that's why she's very childish. She's always been held by the hand and protected by her father, and maybe, I don't want to say this, but maybe she leaves her son behind, so she's like the main attraction, like, because grandparents always love their grandkids, but maybe she's jealous of that and she wants all her father's attention to her and not her son. And that's probably why she also likes attention, because, well, she's used to having attention and being pampered and being held, I think that's just the theory I had right now.
I mean, I feel like this can all be blamed on the way her dad parented her.
Everyone is their own individual, and we all make our own mistakes. Like with her cousin. Like, see, she was already, how old? Like, she was in her teens, right? Like 16, 15?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's old enough to make her own decisions. And if she did truly sent, like, letters and emails or whatever to her older cousin, well, that's something she decided to do. And maybe she regretted it. Like, maybe they had sex and she regretted it, and she says that she was raped because of that, because of her regret, and she feels guilty about that. Maybe her cousin was, like, the only person who, like, gave her everything she wanted. You know, like, he's, like, he gives me attention. Oh, he gives me money. He buys me food, this and that. And maybe she, like, I don't know, just felt attached in a
This
weird
is
way.
Yeah, this is why people also think that Gary and Crystal had some kind of relationship, because if she grew up around that, then that could have led to the cousin relationship. Because, like, I just don't get how that starts, but, like, I don't know. This
Well,
is all, we don't even know if this is true, too.
yeah, no, we don't know. But I definitely, I'm on the camp of, like, her father didn't, I hope that her father didn't, like, abuse her in any form. But her cousin and her, like, I feel like that can crop up even without a incestual relationship between her and her father. Like, anything can happen. It's a big wide world, and it's chaotic out there. And I feel like she's one of those people who isn't ready for responsibilities, like having a child, or having a job, or, you know, just doing something, you know, where she has a risk of failure, or being judged, or being trolled. And so that's why she is in her little safe space on the internet, you know, checking comments. And so she, you know, she wants to keep a facade of a pretty little world where she's a queen and she has everything she wants. Like, that's why she only wants more money from her husband, because she wants to live a lifestyle that she can't afford. And
But she doesn't want to work for it herself.
Yes, that's why she wants to be a princess. And of course, this is just speculation on my part. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just, like, thinking this is how her mind works. You know, it's just my speculation.
Yeah, I really don't want to believe that her dad did anything to her, but he held her hand up until now. He's still doing it, and that's
Yes.
why she is the way she is.
To be continued.